everybody. Welcome to Set Life, coming to you from Studio One at For the One Studios. I am Kelly Leger.
And I am Amber Buto.
And we have a guest with us today, Yvette Valdenegro.
Yes, you did great.
I did great
Nailed it.
on that.
Nailed it.
I didn't have to practice that last name 50 times. That was the first time I ever said it. We're so happy to have you here today.
You.
Get
So
to know you
glad to
more.
be
And
here.
I know you guys know each other, but I get to know you more
Yeah.
and find out what's going on and all that. So here we are.
Yeah. Our hearts align so much in what she does, which everybody's going to get to learn so much about. But just kindred spirits at heart, you know, for one, our love of God, two, the love of women, three, business and entrepreneurship, and helping coach people to be excellent in one, personal life, relational life, and your career. Is so much what you stand for, and I adore you for that, and I love all that you do in that. So I'm excited about our conversation today and get to hear a little bit of your story of you have a podcast show.
Yes.
And kind of how your journeys come about into this podcast land, into this career that you have now, and all of that. So let's start. Where did this all start for you?
Oh boy, part of what we were just talking about. First of all, I just want to say great intro.
Oh.
I'm like, I don't need to say anything. You nailed it. Love of people. I mean, I have always just had such a heart for all nations and all people, no matter where someone came from. Actually, my degree is in sociology from Oregon State University. Proud of that, and barely anybody even knows where the state of Oregon is, but little shout out to Oregon State.
It's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful there. But I knew then. I did the typical college thing where you have different majors, but I really don't feel like I landed it until I knew, like, I just love studying people. I married someone who was in the ministry, and we were married for 15 years. And in there, I also realized, wow, this is great to be in just helping, serving people, particularly women, and particularly just mentoring younger women at this stage of life, going through college, early marriage, young kids, kind of that group of women. But I feel like no matter how much I've tried to get off that beaten path or be like, I'm done with people, I don't want to do this. It's like I just somehow keep coming back to the service end of, and the reality are people are just people. We're all,
Amen.
We've all got things we need to grow in. We all are on our own little journeys. But I also love the fact that we have so much more power together and focusing in on missions together than we do separately.
100%.
And that's when I think I really just was like, wow, do
Yes.
not be the lone island. You need to gather people around you that are like-minded.
It's a funny thing about a calling. It keeps calling
Yeah.
you.
That's so true.
Yeah. But it's a little different this time because when you're in the ministry, you're in it, right?
Yeah.
I was married to it. I was in it. I couldn't get away from it.
Married to ministry.
My entire schedule was based around a church and a congregation and other people. And as great as that is, because it helps you not deviate very far, which I'm...
Because there is no deviation. Yes.
But for me, I was like, okay, you need the little boundaries and barriers, which is good.
Yeah.
But I feel like my approach now is a little bit different, or the way I view my own personal faith, or just whether it's group religion, Christianity in the bigger picture. I now just take that experience and try to help other people or other women who are like, how does my belief or my religion fit in maybe coaching, or if someone needs therapy or counseling or anything that the Christian community might think of as like worldly or outside the Christian, the sanctity of that safety.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I say to people all the time when like a pastor or somebody in the church or even outside of the church does something to hurt their feelings. And I said, oh, did you just realize they're humans?
Yeah.
Like,
they're not perfect.
Did you just realize people are people?
Right.
And we innately by our design hurt other people, you know, I don't think intentionally. I think it's just part of life. And then it's how we handle, like, you know, you always hear the response. It's like what you respond to that is what makes it all different. and how we can tailor those responses and not be surprised by them, but understand them is just, it's a different place to stand.
Right.
Right. And,
Oh gosh. Yeah.
there's, none of us are perfect. Well, I guess this is my newest thing lately, has been, well, I mean, you know me. I really want everything to be perfect, like all the time.
Right.
And you try so hard, and especially in a career and starting things, you just so badly want everything to be so perfect. And somebody said to me, Amber, why are you trying to be so perfect all the time? And I'm like, because it's like gotta be like I just want to hit the mark. I just so badly want to hit the mark in what I've been asked to do. And they're like, yeah, but that's essentially saying you want to be Jesus. He's the only thing that's been perfect. You're not going to obtain it. So why try? And I was like, like when you say it like that. But my version of that has been, but I can be excellent. And that is scripture. And he said, and it was excellent. He never told us to be perfect, but he told us to be excellent. And so now my approach in trying to be excellent at everything that I do leaves room for the grace of the imperfections of our life, right? Yeah. And not trying to hit perfection. You'll hear people that even in their craft are not perfect. The best of the best of the best do not have perfect records. No one has a perfect anything, but they do have excellence. They have refined whatever their trade is, their gift is, whatever, to be excellent. So that's kind of been my newest thing of reminding myself, is using the terminology is like, we want to be excellent here. And there's a lot of different levels of excellence too.
Yeah,
sure.
Everybody has their own version of excellence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And with that goes repetition. You get to the excellence with repetition, doing something over and over. Okay. Yeah. So going off what you just said.
Okay.
So now my thoughts are, what you said, the church, I felt like a lot for me, I'll just speak for me, was a lot of the do, right?
Yeah.
You go to church. Maybe you're in the choir. Maybe you teach in children's church. Maybe you're discipling someone. It's all the do. I get up and pray. I got up and read my Bible. It's all the doing, which I'm not going to say is bad. I think that, there's repetition, there's wonderful. But I like what you said. You went from what do I need to do to be excellent versus who do I need to be to be excellent. And when we take that pressure off of the list of I need to do, because we're such a do culture, and you turn it into who do I, Yvette, need to be that excellent person? And then it's exactly what you said. What is excellence to me? Well, excellence to me could be I'm concentrating in the morning on God and the universe and what my role is in it for the day versus I have to get up and pray. And it just takes the having to do something, and it's the motivation behind it to say, this is who I want to be. And in the being, help me, God, be that person. Because being is actually, in my mind, more of the action side of it, with the more of a, what do you want to say, holistic or sincere approach to I am being authentic to me in the moment, being who I can be best is so much easier, not as draining than do.
Sure. I think to me, when I hear you talking, I'm thinking about, being, I believe has a lot to do with identity. Who are you identifying your worth? And from, that identity, because we can definitely get caught up in the do-do,
For sure.
in the do-do. Get caught up in the do-do.
Here he goes. All of it. Here.
You can get caught up in the do-do. But, when you do it, as you said, it was from a place from being, there is going to, I lost her. I lost her.
You lost her in the doo-doo.
She got lost in the doo-doo.
I'm just saying.
Lost
okay, I'm going to pull it. I'm going to pull my doo-doos back together here. And
I have so many comments coming to me right now.
I know. This is why. Okay,
We're
yes.
so
But you're on something.
We're like 12.
We are.
We're like 12.
Yes, it's great.
Yes.
And so,
I know. I got.
Thank you.
Sorry.
From that place, you do end up doing some things.
Yep.
But it's not starting with the do. It ends up with the do. We talk.
It's okay. You're just
Hey,
making
no.
a very heavy
Okay, this
subject
is-
very lighthearted.
Good. I'm so glad.
bringing
This is
reality.
this is
So
amazing.
glad.
I love it.
You know what? Dude is real, man. Let's get real. And,
I love it. I love it. And it's all part of the episode because
Yes.
I think this is real. Like, actually, this is hitting home the point in which I was seeing and what you were saying is, you know, it's not religion, but it's a relationship. Relationship is just what happened. It's knowing others. It's laughing when they laugh. It's having fun. It's not a have to. Like, if you were so structured that we couldn't have had fun, if we couldn't have been like, this is just a funny moment and just let it go. That's a relationship because we're so close and we've invited you here into this environment that it's just kind of doing life together, right? That's a relationship.
Yeah.
And God wants us to have a relationship with him. He doesn't want us to be so structured and ruled and regulated by a religious stant that we forget to just enjoy him, that we forget to just fellowship with him. Praying shouldn't be something I have to. Praying is a privilege to wake up when your eyes peel open or not even open like mine, and I come conscious and I'm freezing typically, and I'm like, good morning. He's my best friend. Like, you just say good morning to him. That's praying. A conversation with God is that, you know. And I think when we get so caught up on how do we do this so right, like these are the 5 steps, then you're putting your salvation in your 5 steps. You're not putting your salvation and trust into the relationship and creator of God and our relationship with him. That supersedes any. You know, we were talking earlier about seasons of our lives where I do believe there are seasons of your life where you can be super disciplined in waking up, reading your Bible, journaling, and all. And there's definite fruits from that. Like, there's been seasons in my life where I've been super good at that. Years of my life I've been super good. And then there's been a year of my life where I didn't do it hardly at all. Now, I saw the difference in my life too, but God knew that. It wasn't like I was any less than, because it was a different season of life. You know, that season, there was a lot of talking to God during that season. I wasn't as much in the Word, and I didn't have the structure of life. It was a lot of chaos and different things in my life. Didn't allude to that. But I think he cares more about the relationship
100%.
than he does the fundamental rituals of things. I do think it has a place, and I do think it's important. But his heart, my best friend's heart, who I know so deeply, his heart is love. His heart is, he wants to sit with us. He wants to pour into us. He wants to love us and heal us and give us wisdom and impart things to us and fellowship with us. That's why he created us in the garden. He didn't create us in the garden and was like, hey, I'm going to make you read this book every single day. And if you don't, well, forget about it.
Yeah.
We're out.
Yeah.
We're done.
Right.
We didn't even have that then when he created us. The whole nature and the way we were created was to fellowship with him, which is why prayer is so much of a privilege. It's an honor to get to pray. It's like a joy to get to pray.
And listen to everything you're saying is the relationship part of it. And I know I'm very biased with the whole relationship stuff, but it is. And I also think that listen, if he created us where there's no other you, there's no other me, there's no other you, we have so much in us, right? That's detailed, and our futures and our past and everything that we've ever gone through. That's unique and special. He took the time to make you unique and special, but he also wants us not just to have that relationship with him, to have and know ourselves. And that's why with what I do, being a relationship coach, I really try to hone in with people like, who are you? Who do you want to be? Who is it that you are created? And then are you on that journey to be that person? Because unfortunately, we do live in a Western society where we're told from a very young age, and I always use this example, when the minute someone's born, what is the first thing we declare? Their sex. You are this, you are that. And then what's the first thing? Pink goes on her and blue goes on him. What if he loved green or yellow or brown or pink? What if she likes a male-dominated color that we think is male-dominated? That color is not going to make you who you are, but it is a choice. But yet our society is already telling you, no, you're going to like all the frilly pink purple things and you're going to like, balls and trucks and, all that kind of other stuff. Well, not everybody's wired that way.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But that's just the beginning phases of, let me tell you who you are, instead of, why don't you, one, allow God to tell you who you are, and secondly, then be who you are in him, not persuaded by outside society that's telling you how you're supposed to be. But you have to know yourself to know who that is.
Yep. I say all the time in my home with my kids and raising them, I said, the world's going to hurt them and the world's going to tell them all kinds of things. That's not our job as parents. Our job is to constantly remind them of the truth and tell them who they are and how they were created and what they were created for. That is our job as parents. The world does a good enough job of doing all the other thing, defining all these roles and doing all these things. So they hear that all the time. But at home, it is to nail home that you are loved, you are accepted, you are a child of God, set out for this specific time and place and purpose. And the gifts and the talents to call those gifts out in them, what God has placed in them. I don't care what color you love, to be honest. And those things aren't really what I'm worried about. But you're a leader. You are strong. You are brilliant with technology. You are a great administrator. You are a great lover of people. You serve well. Those things, calling those things forward in raising kids, I think is, as a parent, is really the true picture of what we're supposed to do, because the society does do that. Yeah. They already depict, and I've raised my kids to say, my husband loves me for this, by the way. Who told you that eggs are breakfast food? Who told me that eggs are breakfast food? Because if you go to Germany or you go to other parts of the world, salmon is breakfast food. And for us, that's dinner.
That's
or
true.
Denny's.
Yep.
Yeah. Denny's, you can get eggs for dinner.
True.
So it's like, question the things that the society tells you this is what you should be, or this is what you have to do, and this is your breakfast you have to have, this is your dinner. But wait a minute, question those things and measure those with the truth that you know. Why is an egg supposed to be my breakfast food, and why can't I have that for dinner? Actually, it's the wholest food you can eat, so you can really eat it at any time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so they say.
I mean, we live in a culture that is constantly trying to, culture everywhere, doesn't matter what country, culture is always trying to rewrite scripture.
Yeah.
It's always trying to rewrite what God said, trying to rewrite truth. Truth is not a moving target. Truth is not like, over there, it's over there. Well, here's yours and here's mine. I'm like, if that was it, then everybody's lost.
Yeah.
Everybody's lost and just wandering, and there is no fixed anything. Do whatever you want, and it just is what it is. Yeah. We know that's fundamentally not true. Because everybody believes in a good and everybody believes in an evil, on whatever level, however you look at it. Like, that came from somewhere. That came from a very, specific position. So, we have to, it's, something that my mom did for me growing up, and man, I appreciate it, from the beginning, is she allowed me to discover things. She put me in positions to discover what I enjoyed. That's one thing you could, you could, from a young age, someone could have said, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, you're going to be this. Or you can guide them in such a way that's not a, you like pink and you like blue sort of way, but more like a, helps them figure that out. So she let me sign up for everything I wanted to sign up for. You want to play soccer, play soccer. You want to be in the theater, go be in the theater. You want to do that, maybe do it. And I did it. And I tried all of it. And, there came a point in time and age, probably middle school, where there's so much going on with school and extracurricular activities, you couldn't do everything. You had to choose what it is that you wanted to do. And it helped me determine what I really liked, what I really enjoyed, because I couldn't do it all. There was a life with so many options, you can't do everything. Yeah. But if you were able to dabble and decide, I have gifts there. I'm good at that. I enjoy that. I really like that. I was doing a lot of sports, but as soon as, we're in Texas, so soon as they started doing practice twice a day in the summer in football, I'm like, well, I'm not a football player. I'm out. Where's the AC theater department? I'm there. Yeah. And I was there, but I enjoyed it, and it helped me, find my, my way with all that. And I'll say this too, and I love what you guys are talking about, the relationship. We are such a, here, I'm going to be the do guy today. We are such a do society, culture. We're just, that's how we define our successes so much of the time, all that, right? I stopped doing things for God a long time ago because I recognized God's not asking me to do anything. From the beginning, from the garden, he wanted to do with us. Yeah. Many times Christians read the book, read the Bible. Oh, I got to go do. And so they march out to do. And God's back over here going, what about me? Can I come? I'd like to come along. God was never asking us to go and do. He was like, let's do. Jesus said, I'll be about my Father's business. They wanted to do it together. The garden was about them being together, not the fact that it was heaven. Is that what God was there? And they were doing it together. Yeah. So the moment you step out of the with him, you're off track. You're doing your own thing. You're doing your religious duty. You're doing all of this. And God's like, whoa, buddy, it's a lot easier than all that. Let's walk this out together. Jesus, I only do what I see the Father do. I only hear what I see the Father say. You gotta have to have your head on his chest to hear that heartbeat, to know anything about what he's thinking and what he's doing. That insinuates intimacy, relationship, oneness. But religion messes all that up. Yeah. They put him way over there and way over there. And God's like, wait, come back. Come back. I think we got to do everything like that. Live ministry, whatever it is you're doing. You start doing it without him and it's you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I'll just take it one step further. Yes, the doing with him, but it all goes back to being. So if I said to you, hey, I'm going to do love. You're like, what the heck does that mean? You're going to do love. Yeah. I'm going to be love. Yeah. Now, be love can just be serving you, helping you, caring for you, maybe just saying some kind of encouragement. But again, it goes back to the be. Like, not the list of I'm going to go do. Right. But who am I going to be? Right. And then, yes, with him, I 100%. One of the things that I really try to encourage our clients with, especially if they come from a Christian background, is the power that is already there. Yeah. You already have that in you. Yes. Like, let's take it and do something, run with it. Yeah, it's you already, and I also love the fact when you can talk faith with someone who's never had any kind of religious background. Sometimes it's hard to believe something or even imagine, dream. Yeah. Because you grow up thinking, what do you dream about? What? Imagine what? Right. Believe for what? Because you haven't ever had that exercise to try to do versus when you talk to someone who has an understanding of, you're going to think about or trust in something you've never seen, never touched, never felt. And we're all, very much like, I want to see it. Prove it to me. Right. Well, we know where you're believing in something that you can't really prove. You just know is true. It's the same thing. You can't prove the powers necessarily in you. It's not like I can unzip my, my body and go, hey, can you see the proof within me? Yeah. No, but the proof is who I'm being, because anybody can do. We can all do it. You can get on YouTube right now and we can get all kinds of trainings for all kinds of things, but that's pretty much sometimes what separates someone who's, you can notice that in someone, like they're just a doer versus there's someone who's really just being. And it's crazy how the person who's being, you see the imperfect parts of them and you see the perfect parts of them, but you so love who they are. Right. When someone's doing, you see a bunch of perfectness, but you're kind of like, I'm going to stand away. I can't really relate. That's not someone I can really engage with. I don't really know where they're coming from, or they don't really get me. Yeah. And even though they're doing all the things, there's a missing connection. Sure. A lot of times. Yeah.
That's funny because I'd always said I wanted to start a nonprofit called Be the G. And it's just, how about we just be the gospel? Like, I don't want anybody to preach at me. Can you just be the gospel? When I went to Africa, and we've done a lot of projects in Africa. I built a lot of things there. And I called home to talk to my husband about it, and I said, okay, I'm fixing to start talking. And I'm going to need you to not try to fix anything because it really doesn't make a lot of sense, okay? I mean, the mentality that I'm fixing to explain to you is not a mentality that you or I have ever understood or been a part of. So I'm just going to tell you things that are going to be hard to hear. And you're going to want to fix it. You're going to want to make it right. You're going to say, this is ridiculous and this should happen. And I said, if anything that we should learn of going over and seeing other cultures and being outside of our box is just being able to be present and be the gospel where you are. And I think we go over so mission-minded to do things in life that we forget to be the gospel while we're there. We get so busy on, oh, I'm going to have this hospital, or I'm going to do this big brigade, or I'm going to do this big event, or I'm going to do all of this. We're going to save souls. We're going to save the soul. We're going to do all these things, which I think is great. But if you forget to be the gospel while you do that, I don't think it's so great. Because now you're presenting the gospel, not even being the gospel. Jesus walked the earth being the gospel. He was the gospel. And that's where I think as people, as we're talking about relationships and stuff, it's so easy to forget to just be the gospel, be the hands and feet of Jesus, be his kindness, take that time to reflect when you don't have it. I say all the time, our flesh longs for measurement, right? Like we just won an award for this podcast this last month or so, which we were so thankful for and so grateful for. And that feels good in your flesh to win something, to be accredited for something, or you do a job really well and you get a promotion, you're really successful at your job, you buy more things. It's all measurable. You can measure it. The things of the Lord and relationship things are immeasurable of this world. I believe they're measured in heaven. I believe that's a different measurement. When you don't have the time to pray for somebody, but you know you need to, but you make the time and you say, you know what? Those things of the world, no matter how great they are, I can give you. Lord, are you asking me to give you 5? Lord, are you asking me to give of this? We're going to do it. We're going to do it. That's being the gospel. No matter what. You're on your way. We talked on another episode, we're on your way to something, and like Kelly's on stages all around the world and has to take some time to really, really get his things. And when you pour out at that level, it takes a little bit of boundaries to get to that moment. You got to really handle that with a great responsibility, And in doing that, there's a way of saying in the gospel, like, I appreciate you wanting to come chit chat, but if you'll give me like 10 minutes after service, let's meet up on that. It's being the gospel again. He said he'll know us, but we can't unzip it, but he said you will know us. And the way that you will know us are by the fruits that you reveal. And that's the fruit of the Spirit. So knowing what the fruit of the Spirit is and then being able to convey those at all times. Okay, we're going to go back to the very beginning of our conversation. People are people. People are people, including myself. I try so hard to be the gospel. It's something that I say to myself all the time, just be the G. In the moments of the hardest, just be the gospel. When all else fails, be the gospel. God's always telling you that. If you ever question, gosh, what would God want me to do? Be the gospel. I can promise you that was always the answer. Things follow that, but it's being the gospel. And, none of us are perfect at that. We try on the regular to convey that and be that in our jobs, in our relationships, in all our families, in our marriages, our kids, all those things. It's what you try, but I can say you can't be the gospel if you don't know it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's where the disciplines come in. That's where if you're not, you can't just go like, I'm going to love everybody because I love Jesus so much. But you don't know truth, you don't know the gospel, how are you going to be what you don't know? So that's where I think the seasons of your life, like firmly planting yourself in the word, knowing that so that you can be the gospel, so that you can be like what you're saying. The being, if you don't know what that is, it's hard for you to become that. So I think God's given you set apart by your unique talents, gifts, and things. That He said that. He said, some of you will be set apart in these things. But knowing what those callings are in your life and what that is. And then being what He created you to be, you got to know what He says that is. So there's where those two worlds collide within balance and seasons and all of that for me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
though, I think a lot of people don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to be.
Yep.
True.
And then it just becomes the cookie cutter.
True.
Yeah.
Or to put it in Christian terms, we clean up the fish, but we want the fish to be like the other fish. We'll line up
Yep.
exactly like that fish, and
Right.
then that fish, and then that fish. When it's
Yeah.
like we weren't created to be
Right.
all the same
Right.
No.
species of fish. There's goldfish and there's whales.
Yep.
It's like everybody's different.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So are people.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think that we, unfortunately, and you can say it's like, well, whether we're lazy, we don't have the motivation, we're not taught right, whatever it is, it's like our culture, we just kind of
Sure.
get thrown into, this is how you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But you weren't really created to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine right now if someone had either one of you in a cubicle from 8 to 6 every single day by yourself.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's not who you're created to
Yeah.
be. But for somebody else, that sounds like, oh my gosh, that's like my dream
Heaven.
to be in my own space with and like no one's bothering me. Like that sounds like amazing to them because that's who they
Yes.
are.
Sure.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
daughter just said to me, maybe last night, we were talking about waking up on time. We were talking about different parenting styles. And she goes, Mom, you never raised me to like ground me if I didn't get up by a certain time. Like if I wasn't awake by 9 a.m., I wasn't in trouble and all this kind of stuff on weekends and things like that. Where somebody else that she's friends with, they would be grounded. Like they had to get up because nobody's successful in life sleeps in and is lazy and does this. She goes, I don't think that if you sleep makes you lazy or that you're not productive. I just think that's different. And I said, Aspen, by a standard, world standards, early bird gets the worm, wake up, have a schedule, all those things. There's a lot of success in that. So I can't say as an adult living their life that that's not a successful thing. It is. That is not every single person. I think the people that are ornately super successful in life have a built-in clock like that already. That's how they were made. That's where they fit. That's what they were going to do, and it works great for them. Then I think there are other people that are way far creator at night. And so they may sleep in a little bit, but stay later. They're burning the same hours in the day. It looks different.
Yeah.
Business hours, but the business they're doing isn't an 8 to 5 business anyways.
Right.
So what they need to go, I can tell you a lot of the editors that work on a lot of our stuff and a lot of these films, they're texting me at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, working all-nighters and sleeping in the next day, and they're finishing major films. Can't tell me that's not successful. Yeah. It's just a different kind of success. It's not the success that the world says, an 8 to 5 job, wake up at 6, exercise, go in, do this, eat eggs. Those are the same people. Those are all the same people. And I'm married to that one. That is a way. That is a way. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that God made us uniquely different. And I do believe there's a lot of different ways to be successful. And how you determine that is knowing who you are and where you fit to hit the optimal ability you have to do that.
Yeah. Well, one way to look at your success too is to ask yourself daily, what's motivating you? And are you actually following through with it? Because we all get inspired and want to do all kinds of things all the time, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're doing it. So you kind of have to ask yourself, well, why are you not doing it? Because maybe you're not meant to do it.
Yeah.
You don't know. And maybe you're meant to do something else that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to go over that hurdle, or fear kicks in or whatever. But just, I would say, look at the motivation behind
It's good.
what it is that you're doing.
That's good.
The why.
Mm-hmm. No, that's real good.
Okay, we could just do this
I know.
conversation all day long.
I'm
This
just
is
trying to decide to go down to the 4 other questions I have for you right now.
I know.
We're trying to wrap it up.
same.
No.
What do you want to do? You
Well-
want to go one question and then wrap up, or do you want to?
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
being.
I knew it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun,
I
dun,
knew it.
being.
Bing,
Yes.
bing,
Okay,
bing.
so what are the tips? What are the tricks? What are the suggestions? What do you say to someone? Because that's like, most people don't like, what do you do with that? Being, how do I be? Nobody knows how to be. That's all we do is do. What does that mean to be? How do you be? How do you know what does that look like?
Good question. And I asked myself the same. Same. Listen, and I'll kind of say I'll lead up a little story to lead up to that. So of course, obviously, I had mentioned earlier that I was in the ministry. The 15 years that I was in the ministry, I was that person that we described, doing someone else's vision, purpose, calling. I didn't have my own. My own calling was my kids. That's definitely what I put my heart into. So it was hard when I decided like, hey, I'm not going to be in the ministry. I'm not even going to be in this marriage. They were all my decisions. I 100% felt like the person who I died inside to who I truly was. So coming out of that, I said to myself, you need to discover what that is. I went down a whole lot of little rabbit trails that led me to nothing until my business partner right now, she said, I know you've done all these things or whatever, but why don't you just listen to this one coach, which now is our coach? And I was like, fine, whatever. I literally didn't want to do it. But probably 3 sessions in on the videos that I was watching, I was in tears because I literally felt like finally who I was inside, someone else was articulating and expressing in a way that I said to myself, that's what I've been trying to say forever, the being side of it. So now I just explain it's more of I would say it's definitely a revelation. Like you have to open up and be willing to be vulnerable and being more aware of your own personal thoughts. And that's scary because I know sometimes I didn't like my thoughts. I was like, if anybody, I always say ticker tapes. If we really had ticker tapes on our foreheads,
Scary.
yes, really saying what we really feel, we probably wouldn't have the friends that we have. I mean, like, because that's the real you, right?
Sure.
So once I realized, Yvette, you need to be more aware of what you really think, who you really are, and being open to whatever it is. And then here's a big one. Take responsibility for who you are, what you do, or who you want to be, or even responsibility for maybe the things you've done in the past and responsibility for things you're going to do in the future. All of those things combined to me just made this beautiful cocktail of just everything that my soul was craving. Just being authentic, being the real me, identity, who I was in God. Because when you're a Christian and you're held up the esteem of, which I came from the North, but here in the South, it's first lady, whatever, right? That terrified me because it was like, do not put that phrase on me. That's not who I am. If you guys, again, if you knew the ticker tape, you guys, I would be stoned somewhere on the hill. So I didn't like that. So for me, doing a whole 180 and trying to figure out again, because I was told some pretty awful things about just me as a believer turning into a non-believer, I guess, is what I was told. And then having an entire almost universe of Christian believers who 1 minute are supporting you and the next minute could care less if you're even on the planet. That's a really hard thing because you associate that with God.
Yes.
And then when I realized none of that has to do with your relationship with the one who created you. Again, that was me being quiet, listening to myself, the motivations, like I said, taking responsibility and being aware and really honing in and listening to my voice inside. And ironically, my voice was still the same voice as it was younger when I was younger, calling me in the same direction, but doing it differently. And now that's what I'm so excited about is I get to be me, represent God, represent whatever in the way that I feel like is best. And more importantly, along the way, anybody who wants help in that, it's like, I'm so excited. Just come talk. Nothing's better than just opening up and just starting to share what is really going on inside, because we try to cover up so much all the time of the reality of what we're really thinking.
True.
Marriage is not easy. Raising kids are not easy. Being in the world right now, the economics, just where the world is going in general. We all think that, oh, the technology is so good. It's like, no, it's pulling us in some really wicked directions, and we're all going to have to answer for that too. I mean, like, there's just a lot. But being authentic to ourselves is really important.
Wow. And now I have like 42 other questions. So, but we're totally out of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to tell us, unless you have more, how do people get to know you? How do they?
Yeah. How can they connect with you?
Okay. Lots of ways. But one for sure is our business, my business partner and I. It's ygcollaborations.com. We're everywhere you want to be on social media. And then if you would like to listen to our crazy podcast, which is very authentic, very raw, we do it live. There's bloopers and all kinds of things in there. It's called Redesigning Your Relationships, and it's on Spotify and YouTube and everywhere you'd like it to be.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then we do offer 30-minute free consultations for anybody. So if anybody's listened to this and they're like, wait, I'd like to hear more, or I have 45 more questions.
Yep.
I'm an open book. I really am very I always think in one little conversation, if it just helps someone or opens up their mind to receive and go, maybe that's worth discovering or learning more about, they don't even have to talk to me. Then it's like, great, yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
I love that.
I love it too.
I loved our conversation.
Yeah.
It's another good
the
one.
beginning of a conversation. I feel like we're just beginning it.
Yeah, I know.
But
I know.
Anyway.
Okay, well, one of our favorite
Stickers?
things to do in our podcast now these days is we do smaller segments where it's part 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
So
I
we'll
got
have to
it.
come back and
I
do
get
part
it.
two.
Yes,
I get
that's
it.
right.
Part 2. I got
Yes.
it. That's what we need to do.
That's what we're going to have to do.
So we got to get out of here. I am Kelly Leger.
I'm Amber Buteau.
You've been here with our dear friend Yvette for Set Life, and we're going to see you next time.